December 2025. Tesla's targeting $12,749 production cost for the Model 2. That's $15,000 in savings over 10 years compared to a gas car. Sounds perfect, right? But here's the trap 90% of people are walking into. That number isn't the price you'll pay, and one hidden factor could erase all those savings overnight. The difference between production cost and your actual out-the-door price? $7,000 to $12,000 more. Even worse, there's one decision that determines whether you save that $15,000 or spend more than keeping your current car. Miss this, and you could waste years waiting for the wrong vehicle or buy it only to discover the trap too late. In the next 15 minutes, I'll show you the real math, the hidden costs, and exactly what this trap is before you make a $20,000 mistake. Let's talk about what that $12,749 number actually means, because this is where most people lose thousands of dollars before they even walk into a showroom. When Tesla sets a production cost target of $12,749, they're talking about the raw cost to manufacture one unit. That includes materials, factory labor, and allocated research costs. But that number never appears on any price tag you'll ever see. What you'll actually pay is the MSRP, which adds profit margins, logistics, warranty reserves, and distribution costs on top of that production cost. Industry standards suggest the Model 2's sticker price will land somewhere between $18,000 and $22,000. That's already a $5,000 to $9,000 jump. Then you add state sales tax at 6% to 10%, registration fees, destination charges around $1,200, and suddenly your out-the-door price is sitting at $17,000 to $24,000. The federal $7,500 tax credit that everyone used to factor into these calculations ended in September 2025. So that safety net is gone. Here's what this means for you if you're on a fixed income. The gap between that exciting $12,749 production cost and your actual cash outlay could reach $11,000 or more. Some states might offer rebates. You might get 0% financing for 36 months. But those are variables you can't count on. What matters is whether you can afford that final number without relying on incentives that could disappear tomorrow. This is the first place where expectations and reality start to separate. And it's costing people serious money because they're planning around the wrong number. Now, if Tesla needs to cut costs this aggressively to hit that production target, something had to give. And what they sacrificed is going to show up in a way most people won't realize until it's too late. Tesla's manufacturing the Model 2 underbody using a 50,000-ton Giga casting machine that's 8.3 times larger than what they currently use for the Model Y. This machine casts the entire underbody as one single piece instead of welding together over 200 separate components. The advantage is obvious. Fewer parts mean faster production, lower labor costs, and stronger structural integrity. In theory, this makes the car safer and cheaper to build. But here's the problem nobody's addressing. When that underbody is one giant cast piece, you can't repair small sections like you can with a traditional car. If you get rear-ended in a Honda Civic and damage the trunk area, any body shop can cut out that section and weld in a replacement panel for $800 to $1,500. With Giga casting, that damaged area is part of one massive structure. You can't patch a section. You replace the entire module, and as of December 2025, we have zero real-world data on what that costs. We don't know if insurance companies will charge higher premiums because repair costs are unknown. We don't know if independent mechanics can even work on these structures or if you're locked into Tesla service centers for any major repair. My honest assessment here is that for minor accidents, this won't matter. But if you're involved in a significant collision that affects the underbody, you could be facing repair costs that are completely unpredictable for the first 2 to 3 years of ownership. If you're 60 years old and used to taking your car to any local mechanic who can fix it affordably, that assumption doesn't hold with this vehicle. I'm not saying this makes the Model 2 a bad choice, but you need to understand this trade-off exists before you commit, not after you're sitting in a repair shop trying to figure out why the estimate is so high. The battery decision is equally important because it directly affects whether this car works in your climate. The Model 2 uses a 50 to 55 kilowatt hour LFP battery, which is lithium iron phosphate chemistry. This isn't the same battery Tesla puts in the Model S or Model 3 long range. It's cheaper to produce, it lasts longer with 2,000 to 3,000 charge cycles, it's safer with lower fire risk, and you can charge it to 100% daily without degrading the battery. Those are significant advantages, but LFP has lower energy density, which means shorter range, and performance drops 30% to 40% in cold weather. Tesla might advertise 260 miles of EPA range, and in summer at 75 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll get close to that. But if you live in Minnesota and it's January at negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit, that 260 miles becomes 160 to 180 miles in actual driving conditions. This isn't a defect or false advertising. It's the physical reality of how lithium-ion batteries perform in extreme cold. So if you're 62 years old in Wisconsin, making a 120-mile round trip to visit family, that's perfectly fine in July, but requires a mid-trip charging stop in January. You need to know this going in, not discover it the first time you're stranded on a cold highway with 5% battery remaining. What concerns me most is that the charging situation will determine whether you actually save that $15,000 over 10 years or end up spending more than your current gas car. If you can charge at home, electricity costs about 12 cents per kilowatt hour depending on your state. You plug in every night, wake up to a full charge, and never visit a gas station again. Your total cost of ownership drops to the absolute lowest possible level. But if you don't have home charging, you're dependent on public superchargers at 30 to 50 cents per kilowatt hour. That's 2.5 to 4 times more expensive, and every session takes 20 to 40 minutes. Your savings compared to a gas car shrink dramatically. The question you need to answer honestly is whether you have a private garage or dedicated parking spot with access to a 240-volt outlet. If you're renting, parking on the street, or living in a condo without EV infrastructure, you either need to solve that problem first or consider a different vehicle. Without home charging, the financial case for the Model 2 collapses. You're not saving $15,000 anymore. You might save $3,000 to $5,000, and that's before accounting for the time cost of sitting at charging stations twice a week. This is the trap most people walk into because they focus on the purchase price and ignore the infrastructure reality. Here's what's interesting though. Despite all these trade-offs, the Model 2 might actually be ideal for people over 55 from a pure usability standpoint. The seating position is higher than a traditional sedan, which makes getting in and out significantly easier if you have any joint issues. You get better visibility, less pressure on your hips and knees. The smaller wheels mean a smoother ride over rough pavement. The cabin is simple with one center screen and voice commands instead of complicated menus. Maintenance is minimal because there's no oil to change, no transmission service, no spark plugs to replace. Regenerative braking means brake pads last 100,000 miles or more. What you lose to hit that price are heated seats, power trunk, panoramic roof, leather seats, and premium audio. But if you're currently driving a 2010 to 2015 Camry or Civic, you don't have those features either. The Model 2 isn't competing with luxury cars. It's designed for people who value low running costs and simplicity over premium features. The question is whether those trade-offs align with what you actually need from a vehicle. Let me show you the real 10-year numbers, because this is where the $15,000 savings claim either holds up or falls apart completely. You're 58, deciding between a 2025 Honda Civic at $26,000 and a Tesla Model 2 at $22,000. You drive 10,000 miles yearly for 10 years. The Civic costs $26,000 up front, plus $10,000 in gas, plus $6,000 in maintenance over that decade. Total, $42,000. The Model 2 costs $22,000 up front, plus $3,600 in electricity charging at home, plus $1,500 in maintenance. Total, $27,100. That's $14,900 in savings. But here's what could change that equation. Repair costs for the Giga cast body could run 10% to 20% higher than traditional cars. Insurance might be 10% to 15% more expensive due to uncertain repair costs. And resale value after 10 years is completely unknown because we don't have data on how the used market will value LFP battery vehicles. My realistic assessment is this. If you can charge at home, keep the car 7 to 10 years, and drive typical distances under 100 miles daily, you'll save $12,000 to $15,000 compared to a gas car. But if you're relying on public charging or planning to sell in 3 to 5 years, your savings drop to $5,000 to $8,000, and a hybrid might actually be smarter financially. The trap isn't the car itself. The trap is buying it without matching its strengths to your actual lifestyle. You need to be honest about where you live, how you drive, and where you'll charge. Get those 3 things right, and the Model 2 delivers real value. Get them wrong, and you'll spend years frustrated with a vehicle that doesn't fit your life. Character count, approximately 8,485 characters. So here's the trap I promised to reveal. It's not the price, it's not the range, and it's not even the battery. The trap is thinking this car will save you $15,000 automatically just because you buy it. That savings only happens if you have home charging, if you keep it long-term, and if you're honest about your actual driving needs. Miss any one of those 3, and the trap closes. This is exactly why the Model 2 matters beyond just being another EV. Tesla's proving that affordable electric transportation is possible without government subsidies, but only if buyers understand what they're actually getting. We're watching the transition from EVs are for early adopters to EVs are for everyone. And that shift is happening faster than most people realize. The Model 2 is just the beginning. Within 18 months, we'll see Chinese competitors launching sub-$20,000 EVs in global markets, legacy automakers scrambling to match Tesla's manufacturing costs, and the entire industry forced to choose between innovation and survival. The question isn't whether affordable EVs are coming. The question is who survives the race to build them. Drop a comment. Are you waiting for the Model 2, or are you betting on a different vehicle? I want to know what you're planning because your insight helps shape what we cover next. This is Tesla Zone, and we break down the numbers nobody else wants to show you. If analysis like this matters to you, you know where to find us. The EV revolution isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. And the companies that can't keep up are already running out of time. Battery anxiety ends here. Tesla's Model 2 hits 80% charge in just 12 minutes at 180 kilowatt stations, a 55% time cut over conventional lithium packs. The secret? Aluminum-ion chemistry delivering 25,800 cycles with only 7% degradation while you drive 325,000 miles. How does a sub-$15,000 EV charge faster than premium models costing triple? This breakdown exposes the electrochemical engineering behind Tesla's 12-minute miracle and why every competitor is now scrambling to catch up. Here's the 12-minute charging reality broken down. Tesla cracked aluminum-ion chemistry where others failed for decades. Lab-validated testing shows 25,800 cycles with just 7% degradation over the battery's lifetime. That translates to 325,000 miles of driving before you see any meaningful capacity loss. Lithium-ion packs and comparable EVs start fading around 1,500 cycles, then accelerate towards 78% capacity after repeated heat exposure. Why the massive gap? The electrochemical structure handles high discharge rates without the thermal runaway risks that plague lithium chemistry. Let's talk numbers that matter. The Model 2 packs 42 kilowatt hours, nominal capacity delivering 370 miles EPA range, in a module weighing just 330 pounds. That's 370 watt-hours per kilogram energy density, which is 32% more compact than conventional lithium packs at equivalent range. Tesla saves $220 per vehicle in frame reinforcements because engineers don't need to build massive structures around a smaller battery. You're getting more range